Oleksiy, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends of Ukraine and France, bonsoir à tous, dobro wieczora всем, epinize I Yekshemlar. 3 years ago, on that same day, Russia launched a full-scale military invasion on its neighbor, even though Ukraine had not threatened Russia in any way. 3 years after this unprovoked and unjustified aggression, the fights are still ongoing. Dozens of thousands of homes have been destroyed, and hundreds of thousands of people have been killed or injured. Women and children are among the first victims of this conflict. And women have also been major actors in the courageous defense of Ukraine, may it be on the front line or in the rear. This is why, in partnership with the Ukrainian embassy, we have decided to dedicate this event to them and to give a platform to women from Ukraine. I would therefore like to express my most sincere gratitude for their presence to Mrs. Olina Rij and Mrs. Vlada Liberova. Mrs. Rij was an assault soldier before serving as a combat medic. Mrs. Liberova is a war photographer and has been providing an essential testimony on the life near the front line. I would also like to thank for his presence Dr. Akanahir, a pediatric surgeon. He regularly carries out missions from Turkey to Ukraine to operate on children injured by the war. These 3 people embody everyday heroes whose exceptional qualities, their extraordinary sense of duty, and their attachment to justice and freedom have been put forward by the conflict. The strive for justice and freedom is indeed at the core of the war of aggression taking place in Ukraine. It is the struggle between a democracy and a free nation on one side, and a revisionist power on the other side, which seeks to impose an international order based on force rather than on law. If it were to triumph, the security of the whole of Europe would be weakened, because Russia is a power of destabilization, insecurity, and escalation, which circumvents its internal problems by artificially creating enemies in its close environment. Europe is now at a crossroads and has to choose in its support for Ukraine to be ambitious and responsible for its security in order to remain sovereign and independent. The dedication of our 3 guests this evening reminds us of the price of the sacrifices paid by Ukraine to preserve its freedom, and in doing so, the freedom of all of Europe. This is why France has supported Ukraine politically, militarily, and economically since the beginning of the conflict, bilaterally or through the European Union. And it is to ensure that this support is made on a long-term basis that France and Ukraine have been linked for over a year by a security cooperation agreement. It is also with this in mind that the President Emmanuel Macron organized 2 high-level meetings in Ukraine last week and spoke by telephone with President Erdogan yesterday night. This is also the main motive of the President's visit today to Washington. The emergency now is to help define the conditions for a just, robust, and lasting peace, answering to Ukrainian concerns. There can be no credible peace deal without Ukraine's consent. I thank each of you again for being here this evening in solidarity with your Ukrainian friends. Slava Ukraini, Geroyam Slava, glory to Ukraine and its heroes. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, dear friends, thank you for coming and sharing this event with us tonight. Dear Julien, thank you for your team effort, for the help, dedication, and extraordinary effort to make this event happen. Last year, we organized a similar event with your embassy, and it looks like we have established a tradition. This tradition is a part of the effort and help of the French people since the beginning of Russian full-scale invasion in 2022. France and its leadership have been advocating our cause on the international arena. French Caesar artillery is already on the ground. Mirage jet fighters are in the Ukrainian skies. Together with the other French assistants, they defend our freedom, our lives, and our future. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Exactly 3 years ago, after 8 years of occupation of Crimea, Luhansk and Donetsk regions, Russia took off its already bloodied gloves and started a genocidal war against Ukraine. War aiming to destroy Ukrainian nation, change the borders by force. Russia's efforts to erase us from the map failed. Our people, our defenders, have shown extreme heroism fighting for their existence, for the future, and for our freedom. We appreciate every support that was given to our front lines. Thank you. But Russians do not wish to stop. They didn't abandon their plans. They keep pressing on the front lines. They put every effort to drive wedges between us and allies. They want Ukrainians to be left alone in the nightmare of Russian atrocities, tortures, and killings. We are the nation that wants peace more than anyone. Moscow wants temporary pause to regroup its hordes, to recover its strength, and start a new offensive against Ukraine and against Europe. We want comprehensive, just, and lasting peace through strength. Lack of decisive actions, premature concessions, will embolden and provoke Kremlin for further aggression. Strong and united global and European action is essential to stop this. Together, we can achieve peace based on guarantees for Ukraine and for the region. We withstood with the first heavy blow in February 2022. We are ready and capable to do this again with your support in our joint fight against tyranny and against true dictatorship. The Ukrainian democracy, people, army, our president and government are united as ever under the pressure. As I said this morning in our embassy, we will defend our right to exist with all our might, and no one will force us to surrender. Tonight, we will present you with a human dimension, as mentioned my dear colleague Julian, human dimension of the war. And today with us are Vlada Liberova, Ukrainian documentary photographer whose works you could see in all global media, Olena Rish, a combat medic and assault trooper of the 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade, and dear Dr. Hakan Agir, a friend of Ukraine, a Turkish reconstructive surgeon who performs his operations to our children in Ukrainian frontline cities and hospitals. For his works, he was awarded with the State Decorations of Ukraine. Dear Julien, thank you for your help in bringing all these noble people together tonight. They came all the way from Ukraine to speak on their personal impressions and feelings. Dear friends, you're encouraged for discussions with them. We will also screen a short documentary, Women in War, depicting the united Ukrainian resistance against Russian war, against the darkest plans to destroy our nation, our joint security, and our lives. Russian plans will fail if we act together. Thank you for your attention, and Slava Ukraini!
Звичайно, це так. Прокидайся, революція почалась. Моя відповідь була, та чому ще не там? Поїхали. На виданні мені було можливо спробувати різні речі, починаючи від приготування бутербродів і закінчуючи тим, що приносили воду, дрова, налаштовували роботу якихось обігрівальних пунктів і організація коктейльного молотова, коли було події на Рушицю. Я пам'ятаю, як біля стадіону «Доному» стояли хлопці, це була ніч, 19 січня, і кожен собі сам наливав, розливав, тобто це все було не впорядковано. Я, ознайомившись з технологією, так би мовити, за перших 5 хвилин, наступний півгодини було присвячено тому, щоб організувати процес. І його, як це вводиться на виробництві, стратифікувати. Хтось подає пляшки, хтось наливає бензин, хтось наливає масло, хтось робить ці затички.
Я їхала добровольцем на фронт, я готова була на будь-яку роль. Потрібно було би бути парамедиком, бинтувати, я б бинтувала. Потрібно було би чистити картоплю на борщ, значить картоплю на борщ. Водити БМП, значить водити БМП. Потрібно були фахівці в цій галузі, тоді вона тільки розвивалася, тільки починалася. Щасливо випадково, не випадковість. Війна мені дала небо. Я хочу, щоб війна всім нам дала небо, і при тому, ніж туди лізти і ризикувати життям, можна підняти дрон і подивитися, що на тому поверсі відбувається. На війні аеророзвідка дає можливість також працювати артилерії, тобто чітко розуміти ситуацію. Ми не витрачаємо снаряди кудись там в сторону, а ми витрачаємо саме на техніку противника, для того, щоб цих танків ставало менше, і вони все менше завдавали шкоди людям. Дрони рятують життя. Ми заснували в кінці 14-го центр підтримки аеророзвідки, і ми почали вчити перших фахівців в принципі. І тоді дівчат було об'єктивно. Але і фахівців загалом на всю лінію фронту тоді спочатку були десятки, десь вже році так вміти розібрати автомат, накласти жгут, викопати окоп швидко саперною лопаткою там, і, наприклад, підняти матік, відкрити кропиву, вміти скоригувати вогонь. Почалося все з гіпотези, що жінки в армії не мають